McNair in the house because there's a lot of history here, and then we want to get everyone to eat. We got a ton of food. We got to eat all the food, and we got to drink all the booze before.
No problem.
That's right. That's what we want to do. So a little about Fort McNair. Built in 1791. Okay, third oldest post, United States Army. Our place, West Point #1. Parallel number 2. There you go. See, I got all these history buffs here, so I got to be careful. Okay, so if I go, I get to make up my own history because I'm the vice. But anyway. So, anyways, they build this place. They build this fort here, and it's designed to protect Washington D.C. So, if you know the history of Washington D.C., the British come down here. This is the Washington Channel out here. They just basically overrun this place, and it doesn't do a good job of protecting Washington. The British come in and they actually burn down the Capitol and go right by there. But here's the deal: the people here knew they'd been overrun, so they took all the ammunition. This used to be an arsenal, and they stuck it in the well. So here's a safety tip: so a British officer comes in, takes a match, throws it down the well to see what's going on, and it just blows them all up. They lose about 40 folks. So don't drop, matches down wells. The next key thing that happens here is they build a penitentiary, one of the first federal penitentiaries. And the co-conspirators in the Lincoln assassination were actually tried here. So as you came in here, there's a white building over there in tennis courts. So if you see the tennis courts, that's where they actually hung the Lincoln conspirators. And the first, for the women here, just so you know history, Mary Surratt was the first woman that was actually hung by a federal trial. She was done over here too. The next key thing that happened, you hear a lot of things, and I'm apolitical, so don't take this the wrong way, but some people talk about Washington, D.C. being a swamp. Drain the swamp, you might have heard of some of those type of things. But it actually was. In the early 1900s, it was a swamp. And everyone left this place during August because the weather was absolutely terrible. But Walter Reed was here studying. And this was the best place to study because they had all mosquitoes and all that other stuff. And it was here, and right up at the end of the street, that he discovered the mosquitoes actually transmitting yellow fever and malaria. And because of that, he discovered that. And for our docs here, I know someone, they were able to build the Panama Canal, and eventually he got a hospital named after him. Went further. Now,
Walter Reed.
Walter Reed. There you have it. The other one is actually. This house here was built in 1905. And this was built for a major. So think about it. This is how majors lived in 1905. And the only thing different is the back here is all enclosed, but this actually used to be a porch because they sat out in the porch. And on the third floor, there's like 4 bedrooms. So I think they had servants and a whole bunch of people living. But this is how majors lived in 1905. And then the other folks, General McNair, who the post is actually named after, lived in this house.
Wow.
Yeah, that was Mick. Yeah, and what happened was his job was he was Forces Commander. That was his job, and he was here, and his job was to get the troops ready to go off to World War II. But like every commander, he wanted to be where the war was. So he goes the first time to visit troops in North Africa. He gets wounded, So they bring him back here. So now he's recovering. Then he wants to go again. They keep telling him, "No, you need to stay here. You're doing great work." And he actually goes back, and in France, he's killed by friendly fire. So really tough thing. But that's the story behind General McNair. So, and that's how this post is named after. And most of these quarters here are designated as the vice's quarters. And we've had some chiefs that lived here back and forth, but pretty much since the end of World War II, most vices have lived in this house. It's a beautiful house. And for those, the National Defense University is here, and ICAPT is here, and this is a wonderful place to be. And so we just want to, thank you for all coming over here. We got a ton of food that everyone will eat, and we're going to turn over to you.
Please go on into the dining room where there's a lot of food. Please help yourselves. You can bring it outside and sit down out here, or sit inside, sit in the living room, wherever you want, and just eat and drink. And I think Bill wanted to say.
I got one more thing before Bill. I'm going to turn it over to Bill. But one more thing. I just got one highlight. If you come in the front door, you'll see a list of who's lived here. Okay, and you see all the in generals that lived here. But you'll see a picture of a small boy wearing a Women's Army cap and saluting when you come in the front door. And that person is General Gordon Sullivan. And some of you may know who General Gordon Sullivan. But the interesting is, I'm from Quincy. General Gordon Sullivan is also from Quincy. And he is wearing my great aunt's hat in that picture. My great aunt used to babysit him when he was a kid. And she drove all over the Pacific doing those type things. Yeah, so she did a pretty good job. So it all comes back to Boston. And here's what just no, it does. It's true. Just one other thing. The chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff is also from Quincy, General Joe Dunford. He and I grew up in the same neighborhood. And many of you know that Mark Milley is also from Boston. And so whenever we serve in combat together, 2004, 2013, the Red Sox win the World Series. So we're back together now in Washington, D.C. Red Sox are hot. But here's the deal. What we know is when we're in a declared combat zone, the Red Sox will win the World Series. Washington, D.C. is not a declared combat zone.
So it's the Indians' turn.
So we shall see what happens. So I'll turn it over to Bill. Bill, up to you.
First, to our hosts.
Yeah.
We should thank the McConvilles for hosting it. It's a great thing. I just wanted to say that it's hard to communicate with everybody in our class because everybody in our class doesn't tell AOG how to do that. So sometimes the email chain works best when if someone's not on that list, they get notified by someone that's here today that they should be, and you should all encourage them to talk to AOG and at least update your email address because we do want to stay in contact with everybody. I think Mike Miner and Miles Reed are both here. They're our class officers, history and historian and treasurer. The class actually is helping support the event today, so thank yourself for the great things you do for the class of '81. I want to recognize the Ingerts who probably came the furthest distance. I've seen, no, they haven't come.
Somebody came from Florida.
Oh, Florida, I missed that.
No, somebody came from Washington State. Margaret.
The Burkhoffs are the leading grandparents. They have two graduates of West Point. Burkhoffs, are you here? Are you here? They're not here. Okay. And then the youngest grad, because we all know who the oldest grads are. The youngest grad is actually Kim O'Keefe from the class of '91. So
We follow close order behind you.
So look, Chris Toomey is working really hard to try to get all the tributes done for all of our classmates that are no longer with us. We're all going to be on that tribute list someday. Keep that in mind. Lend a hand if you can. Virtual remembrance will probably live on West Point way longer than we will. And it's something that we all want to do. I'm sorry for that serious note, but thank you very much, McConvilles, for having us here today, and have fun.
And thank you, Bill, for setting this up.
Yeah.